This is a demonstration for the small pastel project. These are the pastels. They're chalk pastels or colored chalk pastels. This is what we're using for this project. This is a template that you can use to trace your actual size of what you're making. This is a small practice. It is graded, but it's small. You don't have to do a huge one. You get the choice if you want to use canvas, which is unprimed canvas, or if you want to use a piece of heavyweight drawing paper that holds pastel really well. If you want to use the fabric, you have to go to, there's a roll of fabric in the classroom, and you get one of these templates, and you need to just line it up onto the fabric so you have a little bit of an edge, and then you need to use scissors to cut it out. So grab the pair of scissors and just cut around the edge here. So it's a little bit bigger than the size of the cardboard, okay? If you're going to do your pastel on fabric, then you also need to tape it with some blue tape. You can use regular tape if you want. It doesn't matter as long as it's taped. And I have an example on the next page here that I'll show you. So here's my example that's taped down. It just holds it in place and it gives you a really nice border. If you want to use the triangle, you can use that to get a nice clean edge on your corners, or you can have whatever shape you'd like. It doesn't matter. So that's if you're using the fabric. It's unprimed canvas, so that means it doesn't have gesso on it. It's going to accept the chalks really well. So that's that choice. If you decide to use paper, then you can get your paper. It's drawing paper. If you want to trace this onto the paper, you're welcome to do that, or you can use the entire piece of paper. I'm going to go ahead and trace this onto my paper because I want to have a nice edge here that I can trim and clean up. I'm going to put my name on it and my class period. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we are going to get our pastels out and we're going to start working. But before you do that, you have the option to draw your design in. You're doing an abstract design. If you want to put representational things in there, you're welcome to. But basically, when you think about an abstract design, I want you to think about ideas that you have that flow very quickly in your mind. It's not something that has to have a huge like composition in a sense, or it doesn't have to represent anything. So you decide what you want it to be. I think I'm going to just go with these shapes here, these swirly shapes. I'm going to draw lightly with pencil. I'm drawing a little bit darker just so you can see it. And then I might put some lines in here for some pastel designs and decorations. Very, very lightly. Okay, so that just shows my background. All right, so that's what you can do. If you want to skip the step and go right to pastel, you can. And this, I just want a border on mine. I might decorate in the border. I haven't decided. If you're going to do the canvas, you could do the same thing. You can see that I've drawn my design out here with some pencil, and then I started with chalk pastel. So I get my chalk pastels out. I need a tissue because the tissue is really nice for blending, but I just use my finger when I'm blending. So basically, the idea of chalk pastels is to blend and add colors together however you want them to be. This is a practice, but it's also showing me that you're understanding shape, line, color, maybe some value. So I'm going to get my dark blue here. I'm going to blend these blues together. You can use the chalks to blend directly into each other, layer over layer. You can also try other techniques like stippling. You can do hatching, cross-hatching. You can even take some blue tape and lay it down. I have some small pieces here. If I were to lay a piece of chalk down, or I'm sorry, tape down, and I would use this, I could get a nice shape, geometric shape if I wanted to, or you could cut the tape. You can blend with your finger. And then when you pull off the tape, you can see you get that nice shape. So if you want to do things like that, you're welcome to. I'm going to be blending these colors together. Blending is one of the things I like to do with chalk pastel. I used to use chalk pastel all the time for really large drawings, and I still use it. I actually use chalk for underglaze chalk, and I draw on my ceramics work. So I enjoy it a lot. Please don't blow the chalk though. Make sure that you're not doing that. You want to keep your mask on, and you don't want to blow chalk anywhere. So there we go. I've blended that dark into light. If I wanted to, I could create some tints by adding white and blending maybe with one of my fingers. It's not so messy, a little cleaner. You clean your hands when you need to. There's some white. And if I wanted to do a shade, I could take a dark color or black, brown, however kind of shade you want. This one's harder to do. It looks more dominant. So what you'd really have to do is you'd have to get in here and blend that color with the black by layering on top to get a value for a shade. All right, so remember, a shade is adding a dark and a tint is adding white. So feel free to do those if you'd like. You can actually really see it pretty well. I might bring this in a little bit here. Spread that around and then use this on top of it. Layering is how you're going to get things to blend. Okay, your hands are going to get messy. That's just the way it is. You might want to get a tissue. You can also blot yours to pick up some of that extra chalk. If you layer lighter colors on top of dark colors, very gently, they smooth out, but you can still see those designs underneath. So try some of these techniques when you're using your chalk pastels, okay? So that's on the canvas. On the paper, you're going to get a very different look. So if I press lightly, I'm really going to get a lot of color going fast on the paper. You can, if you want to use brushes, you can use a dry brush to move the chalk around. If you use light colors on top of the pencil, you can still see through the pencil, so keep that in mind. If you want to cover up the pencil, one, start with drawing lightly, and two, use a darker color if you really want to cover up that pencil. And the same thing works for paper as it does with fabric. When you're blending colors together, layer them on top. Gives you some value, gives you some interesting look. If you don't want to blend it together and you just want it to be kind of like raw like this chalk here, what you can do is take it to the garbage. I'm just going to put on a tissue here. You can tilt it to the side. You can give it a tap into the garbage, or you can tap it onto something. You just don't want to inhale that. You just don't want to breathe it in, okay? When you are finished with your design, you can take an eraser and you can clean up those edges all the way around just to tidy them up a little bit. One of those pink erasers probably works the best to just clean it up. Remember to hold your paper and dry the eraser. Okay, so that's my demo. I can't wait to see what you're going to do with these.